The year 1947 marked the end of the British Empire in India. It also marked the birth of two new nations, India and Pakistan. The partition, however, was a bloody affair. Millions were displaced and countless lives lost in communal violence. This traumatic birth sowed the seeds of a rivalry that continues to this day. At the heart of the conflict lies the disputed region of Kashmir. Both India and Pakistan claim this beautiful mountainous territory. This dispute has fueled 3 major wars and numerous smaller conflicts. The rivalry between India and Pakistan is not just about land, it's also about identity. India, a secular democracy, sees itself as a land of many faiths and cultures. Pakistan, on the other hand, was founded as an Islamic republic. These differing ideologies have led to mistrust and misunderstanding. The India-Pakistan rivalry is a complex issue with no easy solutions. However, understanding the historical context of this conflict is crucial. It helps us understand the challenges that both countries face today. It also underscores the urgent need for peace and reconciliation in the region. The world watches with bated breath each time tensions flare between these nuclear-armed neighbors. The specter of a larger conflict, one with potentially catastrophic consequences, looms large. It is a sobering reminder of the human cost of unresolved conflicts. It also highlights the need for dialogue and diplomacy to pave the way for a more peaceful future. The seeds of the First India-Pakistan War were sown even before the ink had dried on the partition documents. The princely state of Kashmir, with its predominantly Muslim population but ruled by a Hindu Maharaja, became a geopolitical hot potato. In October 1947, as Pakistan-backed tribesmen advanced towards the capital Srinagar, the Maharaja signed the Instrument of Accession, ceding Kashmir to India. This act ignited a full-blown war. India airlifted troops to Srinagar, pushing back the insurgents. The war raged on for over a year. Both sides won victories and suffered defeats. The fighting was fierce, fueled by decades of communal tension. Civilians were caught in the crossfire, their lives upended by the conflict. In January 1949, a UN-brokered ceasefire brought a fragile peace to the region. However, the war had lasting consequences. It solidified the division of Kashmir, with India controlling the majority of the territory, including the Kashmir Valley. Pakistan, meanwhile, controlled a smaller portion known as Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. The 1947-48 war set the stage for the enduring conflict over Kashmir. It also highlighted the international community's role in mediating between the two rivals. The war's legacy continues to shape the region's political landscape. The line of control, established by the ceasefire, remains a heavily militarized zone, a constant reminder of the unresolved dispute. The scars of the 1947-48 war had barely healed when a new conflict erupted in 1965. This time, the trigger was a series of skirmishes along the disputed border in the Rann of Kutch, a desolate salt marsh. The clashes soon escalated, drawing both countries into a full-blown war. Pakistan, under the leadership of Ayub Khan, launched Operation Gibraltar, aimed at infiltrating Kashmir and inciting a local uprising against Indian rule. However, the operation failed to gain traction. India responded with a full-fledged military offensive, crossing the international border into Pakistan's Punjab province. The 1965 war was marked by intense tank battles, particularly in the plains of Punjab. The air forces of both sides also saw significant action. Cities like Lahore and Amritsar came under fire, highlighting the human cost of the conflict. After 3 weeks of intense fighting, international pressure, and the threat of a protracted stalemate, both sides agreed to a ceasefire. The 1965 war ended without any significant territorial changes. However, it further deepened the mistrust between India and Pakistan. It also led to a significant military build-up on both sides, solidifying the line of control and further dividing Kashmir. The 1971 war was a watershed moment in South Asian history. It marked the creation of Bangladesh, formerly East Pakistan. The conflict was rooted in the political and cultural marginalization of East Pakistan by West Pakistan. The situation escalated after the Awami League, a political party advocating for East Pakistani autonomy, won a landslide victory in the 1970 Pakistani general election. West Pakistan refused to hand over power, leading to mass protests and a brutal crackdown by the Pakistani army. Millions of refugees fled across the border into India, creating a humanitarian crisis. India, sympathetic to the Bengali cause, provided military and humanitarian assistance to the Mukti Bahini, the Bangladeshi resistance movement. In December 1971, India directly intervened in the conflict. The Indian Army, Navy and Air Force launched a coordinated offensive on both the eastern and western fronts. The war lasted just 13 days, but witnessed some of the fiercest fighting in the region's history. The 1971 war ended in a humiliating defeat for Pakistan. Over 90,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered to the Indian Army. Bangladesh, with the support of India, emerged as an independent nation. The war had a profound impact on the geopolitical landscape of South Asia. It significantly weakened Pakistan and cemented India's position as the dominant power in the region. Section 5. Heights of Tension. The Kargil War of 1999. The Kargil War, fought in the icy heights of the Himalayas, marked a new low in India-Pakistan relations. In the spring of 1999, Pakistani soldiers disguised as Kashmiri militants infiltrated Indian-controlled territory in the Kargil district of Kashmir. Their objective, to cut off the vital Srinagar-Leh highway, which served as a lifeline for Indian troops stationed in Ladakh. India launched a massive military operation codenamed Operation Vijay to evict the intruders. The fighting was fierce and fought in treacherous high-altitude terrain. Indian soldiers, often outgunned and outmaneuvered, displayed remarkable courage and resilience. The Indian Air Force played a crucial role, using air power to target Pakistani positions and supply lines. The Kargil War lasted for over 2 months, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. International pressure, particularly from the United States, eventually forced Pakistan to withdraw its forces from the Indian side of the line of control. The war ended as a military and diplomatic victory for India, but it left a bitter aftertaste. Section 6. Terror and Retaliation. The Shadow of 2001. The December 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament in New Delhi marked a dangerous escalation in the India-Pakistan conflict. The attack, carried out by Pakistan-based terrorist groups Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, left 14 people dead, including the 5 attackers. India accused Pakistan of sponsoring terrorism and launched a massive military mobilization, deploying troops along the border. The attack sent shockwaves through India and the international community. The world watched with bated breath as tensions soared between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. The threat of a full-blown war loomed large, raising fears of a catastrophic conflict with global ramifications. Despite the intense pressure, both India and Pakistan exercised restraint. International diplomacy, led by the United States and the United Kingdom, played a crucial role in diffusing the crisis. Pakistan, facing international isolation, eventually agreed to take action against the perpetrators of the attack. However, the trust deficit between the two countries remained, casting a long shadow over future relations. Section 7. Mumbai in Flames, a city under siege in 2008. The 2008 Mumbai attacks, a series of coordinated terrorist assaults that paralyzed India's financial capital for 4 days, marked a new low in the already fraught relationship between India and Pakistan. The attacks, carried out by 10 heavily armed gunmen, targeted hotels, a train station, a Jewish community center, and a popular tourist restaurant, killing 166 people and injuring over 300. The attackers, affiliated with the Pakistan-based terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba, arrived in Mumbai by sea, highlighting the vulnerability of coastal cities to terrorism. The attacks exposed glaring gaps in India's security apparatus and intelligence-gathering capabilities. The audacity and brutality of the attacks sent shockwaves across India and the world. India blamed Pakistan for providing support to the attackers and demanded that Islamabad take action against the perpetrators. Pakistan condemned the attacks but denied any involvement. The attacks severely strained relations between the two countries, pushing them to the brink of war. International pressure, particularly from the United States, helped to avert a military escalation. However, the Mumbai attacks left a deep scar on the Indian psyche and further solidified the perception of Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism. Section 8. Surgical strikes and shifting sands, Uri and beyond. The 2016 Uri attack, in which 4 heavily armed militants attacked an Indian army base in Uri, Kashmir, killing 19 soldiers, marked a turning point in India's response to cross-border terrorism. India blamed the attack on the Pakistan-based terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed and vowed to retaliate. In a significant departure from its traditional policy of strategic restraint, India conducted surgical strikes on terrorist launch pads across the line of control in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The strikes, carried out by Indian Army Special Forces, inflicted significant damage on terrorist infrastructure and casualties. The surgical strikes were hailed as a decisive action against terrorism by the Indian government and public. However, Pakistan denied that the strikes took place, claiming that Indian troops had only engaged in cross-border firing. The strikes marked a significant escalation in tensions between the two countries. Section 9. The nuclear shadow lengthens, Pulwama and the road ahead. The February 2019 Pulwama attack, in which a suicide bomber rammed a vehicle packed with explosives into a convoy of Indian security forces in Pulwama, Kashmir, killing 40 Indian paramilitary personnel, marked a dangerous escalation in the India-Pakistan conflict. The attack, claimed by the Pakistan-based terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed, sparked outrage in India and led to a series of retaliatory measures. India launched airstrikes on a Jaish-e-Mohammed training camp in Balakot, Pakistan, marking the first time since the 1971 war that Indian warplanes had crossed the line of control. Pakistan retaliated by scrambling its fighter jets, leading to an aerial engagement. The escalation of hostilities raised fears of a wider conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. The Pulwama attack and its aftermath highlighted the volatile nature of the India-Pakistan relationship and the ever-present threat of conflict. The incident underscored the urgent need for dialogue and diplomacy to address the root causes of the conflict and find a lasting solution to the Kashmir dispute. The international community must play a proactive role in facilitating dialogue and confidence-building measures between India and Pakistan. The stakes are incredibly high, as the consequences of another war between these nuclear-armed rivals would be catastrophic, not just for the region, but for the entire world.